Senator Campy, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, absolutely. It's an honor to be here.
And Mr. Goswami, thank you as well for being here.
Great to be here. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. You are...
Asha Kapoor. I handle reporting for new and emerging technologies at the Pixel. Been here for about three years now.
That's wonderful. I am sure you have a lot of questions to ask.
Please, Ms. Kapoor, I hear you're from Chicago.
Wheaton, actually.
Oh, Wheaton. Did you know that it has more churches per capita than any town in America?
45 within the city limits alone. Yes, ma'am.
You grew up in Wheaton?
Yes, Senator, and still stuck here.
Hey, it's a wonderful place. Don't knock it now, Ms. Kapoor.
Please, call me Asha. So, Senator Campy, in November, you were elected to a third consecutive term?
Yes, I feel honored and humbled to be representing the wonderful people of Illinois.
Do you think the pandemic had an impact on the outcome of the election?
Oh, no doubt. Even before COVID, the country was on the wrong path. Racism and bigotry were out in the open. We went backwards in climate change. Our standing in the world had diminished. But you're right, it all came to a head when the virus struck our shores.
Corona really messed things up.
What did the previous administration get wrong?
Asha, I'd rather not spend time criticizing the past administration, but they did spend crucial weeks in the initial phase downplaying the virus. The scientists were sidelined, the CDC politicized, the doctors undermined.
They wanted to inject disinfectant and sunlight into people's bodies. And that my pillow guy, he got a platform to sell snake oil from the White House. Can you?
They ignored science. Even masks were politicized. Did you know that masks prevent transmission of the virus 80% of the time? We don't have medicines that are that effective. They don't exist.
The country decided that we needed to move in a different direction. It was a resounding mandate. The president, the Congress, and the Senate, all in the hands of one party.
Senator, you're heading the pandemic task force?
Yes, I am. It's an enormous responsibility handed to me by the president.
No disrespect, ma'am, but what qualifies you to head the task force?
It's a valid question. We all know what happens when a politician takes control of a scientific process.
Hey, the senator practiced as a physician for 15 years before moving into politics.
As a clinician, I saw the dysfunction in our healthcare system up close. I saw how it harmed my patients. I realized the only way to improve things was by being part of the solution in Washington.
So being a doctor qualifies you to handle a pandemic?
Oh, the CDC and local public health departments are completely in charge. My role is to remove obstacles and provide resources and funds they need.
Like funding for vaccine production?
Yes, exactly, like vaccine production.
Didn't start off well.
Oh, pardon me?
The vaccine, the rollout of the vaccine.
Yes, complete chaos. The first few vaccines were rushed and then didn't work. So by the time we had one that was both safe and effective,
Ran out of it in a couple of weeks. Millions were at risk. Left for dead, really.
And that's when Senator Campy approached you, Mr. Goswami?
Well, we at DataQuest had been anticipating the problem, and we were collecting data along the way.
So you approached the senator?
well, we were looking at many companies and DataQuest provided a potential solution.
But we had the Corona SARS-MERS vaccine, the CSM vaccine. What solution was needed from DataQuest?
Yes, the CSM vaccine was the first vaccine that worked after others had failed, but the supply chain was set up to build the early vaccines, so not much capacity was left for CSM.
And this was around March?
Yeah, and we were already riding another huge wave of infections by then.
With the economy in a free fall, another lockdown was just not possible.
The stock market had lost almost half of its value.
And unemployment had just crossed 15%.
We were at a precipice. And that's when Senator Campy took charge. Since then, our economy has stabilized. We've had sustained job growth. She is a hero.
It was a collective effort. Really, the entire team deserves the credit.
So you were saying the demand for the vaccine was far greater than the supply?
Oh, much, much greater.
But you could have invoked the Defense Production Act to make more vaccines, Senator.
The DPA works well for factories, but not for labs. GE or Ford can't produce vaccines.
Yeah, and vaccine production is complicated with facilities spread all over the world, and every country had their own supply issues.
We eventually did use the DPA, but it takes time to build this infrastructure.
How long?
It will take at least another year before we catch up with the demand. And science tells us that this is a vaccine that will have to be taken every year as the virus mutates, much like the flu vaccine.
Until then, we will continue to run short of the vaccine.
So how do you solve this problem?
One thing we were determined to do was let science lead the way, let data lead the way.
And DataQuest had this data?
The data was from all over the place, universities, hospitals, government agencies.
But DataQuest pulled it together.
Mr. Goswami, you're one of the original founders of DataQuest, right?
Only one left. The smarter ones took their money and ran, leaving me with all the headaches.
DataQuest is on the verge of an IPO, though.
Well, yes, there's that. Asha, it's been in the works for years, really. A lot of intellectual property has been developed, and there has been significant investment in the infrastructure to gather and analyze all the data.
So what data did you collect?
All kinds: contact testing, tracing, mortality, efficacy, everything.
How was the data collected?
I appreciate your question, Asha. Transparency is important to us, making sure that everything we collected, every decision we made was out in the open for the American public to see.
Mr. Goswami, your data model and the associated algorithms are proprietary, correct?
Yeah, like I said before, we spent a lot of money and resources developing them.
So therefore your model, the algorithm for deciding who gets the vaccine, it's also proprietary, isn't it? This is not publicly available information.
I'm not sure what the concern is.
The vaccine supply was limited and you had to come up with a plan to determine who gets one and who doesn't. And no one knows how these decisions are made?
No, the criteria are clearly laid out in the Pandemic Recovery Act. We've had numerous hearings about these, Asha.
Senator, most of our readers don't read government bills or tune into congressional hearings. Would you care to explain these criteria?
Sure, it's straightforward and logical. Essential workers, the most vulnerable, get the vaccine first, the elderly next.
How do you determine who's vulnerable?
We mine medical records.
Isn't that a HIPAA violation? Isn't it illegal to go through someone's medical record without their permission?
It's not like I was going through every person's medical records individually. It's a computer program sifting through big data.
A person's medical history is private, isn't it?
Absolutely, Asha, you are correct. Privacy is very important and we take it seriously. We've taken great care to secure the data, limit access.
And that's another reason why, the algorithm is proprietary.
And as far as the legal question about HIPAA goes, the president signed an executive order that allows exemptions in extraordinary cases, such as when you have 500,000 people dead and thousands dying every day.
This is personal for you.
Obviously, it's personal to anyone affected by this killer virus.
No, I mean your husband. He died from COVID.
My husband. You know, Eric was a lung specialist. With COVID, he was working every day in the ICU for over a year. He fought to save lives. He was an excellent doctor, compassionate and caring too, selfless in every way. A doting father, a loving husband, and in the midst of fighting for his patients, he lost his own life. And he was alone in his last moments. I miss him. And my son misses him even more. So yes, this is personal. I understand the heartache of losing someone without having the ability to say goodbye.
Senator, I am deeply sorry for your loss. It seems like he was a remarkable man. This must have been so difficult for your family.
It was rough, especially for my son.
I can only imagine. And I understand that he has asthma. It must be hard being away from him while you're out in DC working.
It's tough, as it is for many Americans. I am truly grateful to Eric's parents who help while I'm away.
All these statistics of how many tests are conducted and how many people have died. But sometimes we forget that there are real people behind those numbers.
The CSM vaccine didn't come in time for Eric, but I wanted to ensure that no one else would ever have to face the loss that my son and I did.
But ma'am, many still do.
Because there aren't enough vaccines available.
Doesn't it come back to making life and death decisions about who gets the vaccine and who doesn't?
Let's be clear. Okay, we are not playing God. We have a vetted criteria, an algorithm to help with difficult decisions. We are trying to do the best that we can, delivering a limited supply driven by data and science.
Senator, were a person's political leanings an input to the algorithm?
Of course not. We are a new administration. We do not politicize healthcare. Everyone has equal access to the vaccine.
Senator, how was DataQuest selected as the government's approved vendor for this project?
Because we were the best. We had the most mature algorithm, the most robust data set, and of course, strong leadership. We were the only
went through a vetting process and evaluated several companies.
But surely you had a say in this approval process, Senator.
I did share my preference for a young company that was both nimble and aggressive and willing to take risks.
That could be enticed or even influenced?
Whoa. Hold on a minute. I am not being influenced. DataQuest is not being manipulated.
So tell me, how does it work then? I haven't had a vaccine yet. How would I go about getting it?
Super easy. You download your app on a smartphone, enter your social security number, and it'll tell you if you're eligible to get a vaccine or not. If you are, it will schedule an appointment for you to get a vaccine. Simple.
But what happens if I'm not eligible?
You'd be put on a waiting list based on criteria that we've already discussed before.
Senator Kempe, have you had the vaccine?
Yes, of course I have. We all did. All the senators and congressmen got the vaccine.
Senator, you've been very vocal about your hatred for conspiracy theories, especially those that are popular in conservative circles.
There are people who believe the virus is a hoax, or that the virus was man-made, or that wearing masks causes carbon dioxide poisoning. We are not like that. We believe in science.
Senator, people believe all kinds of stuff. What's the big deal?
People who propagated these conspiracy theories caused the pandemic to get out of control. This isn't whether you believe Elvis is still alive. These conspiracy theories affected people's behaviors, and many died as a result.
Sure. But the First Amendment allows that. They are well within their legal rights to say whatever they want.
Yeah, but what is the legal consequence for not wearing a mask, for not being socially distant? You can't shout fire in a crowded theater.
I'm sorry. Why are we discussing conspiracy theories?
The people who believed in these conspiracy theories, were they not eligible to get a vaccine?
That'd be wrong.
But what if they are essential workers? What if they have underlying health issues or just simply don't know any better?
Won't know any better, then they won't know what they're missing. I mean, come on, they can't appreciate what they don't respect.
Senator, have you seen your son's social media feed?
Wait a minute. Why are we talking about the senator's son?
No, I haven't. He's 16 and certainly old enough to deserve his own privacy.
Interestingly, he doesn't have a social media presence. Nothing at all. Isn't that odd for a 16-year-old?
Oh, really?
And even more interestingly, he was very active until just about a few months ago. And now, if you look, there is nothing. It's all gone. However, as with anything on the internet, nothing is really ever lost.
What are you talking about?
We were able to find his old posts through archival sites. He had several posts claiming that China created the virus, that Bill Gates wanted to profit from the vaccine, that 5G caused the illness.
Wait a minute. Why are we still discussing the senator's son? I mean, he's just a kid.
Mr. Goswami, did you use information from social media feeds in your algorithm?
Of course not.
Mr. Goswami, is your Reddit username the Goshman89? You've been active on Reddit for years. That username has hosted several AMAs on Reddit related to DataQuest. You've even tweeted about these AMAs.
Wait, what is an AMA?
It's a forum on Reddit where users can ask the host questions. It means ask me anything.
I'm not sure what the concern is.
On a recent AMA that you did just last week, a user asked you if scraping social media to profile users is okay. Your response? Not only is it okay, it's the only way to know what a person truly believes, who that person really is.
I don't recall that.
I have the printout of that AMA right here. And the user went on to ask if it's legal. And your response? It's legal and the government uses it all the time.
It has to identify terrorists and criminals. In fact, it was used in some countries to determine if people were abiding by the lockdown restrictions.
So you're saying it's okay to do this?
Yes, especially in a pandemic. See, this is not really a privacy concern because, the data is anonymized before analyzing it.
But you could, in theory, identify the individual users and create profiles for them. You were almost bragging in the AMAs. The data is out there and DataQuest has the AI to gather that data and create a user profile that is so accurate. It's as if we're holding a mirror to your very soul. Do you want me to read on?
No, I am tired. I have been giving these interviews all day. We have been working nonstop for 6 months now, traveling all over the country. I've been working with the CDC, the NIH, and health departments for the good of the country. I'm exhausted.
Were you digging through social media trying to exclude people who propagated conspiracy theories?
Yeah, listen, lady, I don't like your tone and I don't like what you're implying. We have worked hard on a great solution. And it's unfortunate that you can't see that.
Mr. Goswami, what are you trying to hide? What did you get out of this deal?
What are you talking about?
It's a simple question. How much money did DataQuest make? How much money did you give Senator Campy?
Wait, I do not take kickbacks. How dare you?
But Senator, I'm just...
No, I am done with all this. I entered politics to help people. I gave up a successful medical practice and jumped right in. Not to make more money, not for more power.
Then why?
I really believed that I could make a difference. But the system just chews you up and spits you out.
I am just trying to find out how...
We had an election, okay, a referendum, really, for us to solve a pandemic. And we have brought it a solution. And we should be thanked for that. God knows it would have saved my husband's life.
I think we've had enough of this nonsense. Instead of congratulating the senator on the incredible job she's done, despite the personal hardship she suffered, you accuse her of corruption?
Senator, you talked about transparency.
And I have been that, transparent. And we have talked about it all. You have enough, I've had enough. This interview is over.
Senator, your son's feed was full of COVID conspiracy theories that you publicly criticized. So how was he able to get the vaccine? It's a simple question, ma'am. Where is your transparency now? Did you fix the system for your son's benefit?
And so what if I did? Okay, I've already lost my husband. I'm not going to lose my son. Not for some nonsense he posted as a teenager.
I think what the senator is trying to say.
Senator, first you manipulated the delivery of a vaccine to favor a group politically aligned with you. And then when it suited you personally, you manipulated the system further to favor your son. That was a conflict of interest. No one else can enjoy the pleasure of having a life-saving vaccine except you.
You can't just tarnish our reputation with baseless accusations and get away with it. I will sue you.
Shut up, Sandeep. God, this story will not hurt your brand. Your IPO will be fine. She wants the story of a corrupt politician who got caught. This will all blow over. The news cycle will carry on, moving on to rip someone else apart.
Senator, reporting the truth is why I'm here, giving you and our readers the facts.
Oh, come on, Asha. You had this information on my son from the beginning. You knew he was a minor and you still went digging for dirt. You were setting me up. You weren't looking for the truth. You were looking for a tasty viral video.
Senator, that is just not the case.
It's okay. It's okay. Your reasons don't matter. Privacy is a concern, but data is important as well. Freedom of expression is important, but not at the cost of lives. This virus makes us make hard choices. This was a horrible situation, and we had to find the least imperfect solution.
So would you go back and do things differently?
I don't know, Asha. I don't know. What would you have done?